Welcome
to Film Shapes,
the podcast.
Are you the first?
The first what? Visitor? I've always been visited.
Nothing you have seen or heard about David Bowie will prepare you for the impact of his first dramatic performance in The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of You Mean You Haven't Seen? And this week we're talking about the 1976 Nicholas Roeg film, The Man Who Fell to Earth, starring David Bowie. But first it's hello to Roly.
Hello.
And making his pod debut, it's Dave. Hi, Dave.
Hello.
How's it going?
Well, thanks.
Good. Now, Roly, to kick off, this was your recommendation. Can you give us a little background about this film?
Look, it was just one of my favourite films from back in the day. Not quite as early as 1976, but it was definitely one of the films I grew up with. Loved it, and I thought you really need to see it because you'd never seen it before, right?
No, I hadn't. It had been on my radar, I guess. I've been hoping to see it one day because I like Nicholas Roeg. But I can't say I liked it much.
Yeah. Okay. So
sorry to say.
Well, do you think I knew this was going to happen? And
did you?
The challenge is going to be: am I going to get out of this podcast still liking the film? It was interesting to look back at it after all these years, and
you did a rewatch, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I still liked the film, actually.
Okay.
I think it's a great little piece of science fiction. Maybe it's a little bit long, and there is a silly scene of a guy falling out a window, which I tend to think looks a bit silly in these 70s films. In this case, it was a dummy, not a graphic effect version.
This is a bit of an echo of your hatred of that scene in Point Blank a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it was a similar.
I see.
But this film is so, well, I don't know. Is it? It's quite far-fetched, I guess you could say, but it's science fiction. So what are you going to do? But in the context of the world today, I think the idea still works.
Okay, Dave, you hadn't seen this before either, right?
No, I hadn't. No.
What did you think?
I don't know if I liked it or disliked it. I certainly, enjoyed the experience of watching it. It didn't have a narrative thread to really grab your attention. It was more sort of like watching a 2-hour music video, if you know what I mean. Experimental filmmaking getting a run in feature films was probably a bit of a 70s thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, until the Spielberg's.
Is known for like clever editing and it's not like an action movie that you expect from science fiction, is it?
No, it's pretty. I mean, it's thought provoking, I suppose, and maybe too much.
Sure.
Did it blow your mind, Shady?
No. Look, I'll be honest. I got more questions than answers from this film.
Well, this is good. Maybe because I've seen it a few times.
Okay, yeah, that's why I need you to help me with this. Firstly, I think it was way too long, and I think it was pretty happy with itself. Maybe like Dave said, it seemed like a bit music video at some points, and there was no need for some of that. It started pretty well.
I did like the soundtrack.
Yeah,
that's not quite badly.
Yeah, okay. I was asking Rolly off air before. What's the deal with not much Bowie at all in the soundtrack, even though he's in it?
Well, I think Bowie was originally planned to do the music for the film, but he ran out of time, and I think it was passed on to the other guy I've got it in front of me somewhere here, John Phillips, Stomu Yamashita.
Okay.
So he was originally going to do the music, but basically, I'm actually glad he didn't do the music. I really liked the sonic backdrop of this film for the most part. Some of it. Yeah, look, I think it's a film of its era as well.
Of course. I thought it looked fantastic, though. It was beautiful to look at, and the colour schemes and the costumes and the sets, and it was really, really lovely. But yeah, I didn't get that from the soundtrack, really. It felt like it was a bit slapdash, like it didn't quite match the aesthetic qualities of the appearance of the film.
I think when it got a bit rock and rolly there, when the girl came back to kind of visit him in the compound there, and there was that weird sexy scene, and that's probably the point where I would agree with you there that it was a bit music video, and it was just silly. I mean, I think that was just there so you could see Bowie's penis, really. Did you catch that?
Yeah,
I think it did. Yeah.
There's you don't see penises in feature films very often anymore, do you? There was another one. There was another penis in the film too.
I think Rip Torn got his out as well.
They were not shy, not a shy film at all in that sense.
The sex scenes are quite bold, aren't they? That was some of the better element of the film.
I got a feeling in Don't Look Now. I think Donald Sutherland got his cock out as well in that film, didn't he? Maybe it's a Nicholas Roeg or a 70s kind of thing. Yeah,
I think both. Yeah, I was going to say it's very 70s attitude to sex.
Yeah.
Way more interesting than the average sex scene in a feature film, though.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, he does that well. With
when he was a university lecturer and having the same sex with with a number of different 18-year-olds and cut together. If you hadn't been paying attention, you wouldn't have realised that there was a different woman. Right.
He's good at that intercut. I mean, that scene with Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland in Don't Look Now is a famous intercut sex scene where they're sort of dressing for the event after while it's cut into their sex scene as well. So, yeah.
But I do like just the whole idea of this film being in a modern context. It's kind of like imagining someone like Elon Musk was actually an alien. And I like that imaginative. And if an alien does come to the planet, what do they bring? Like he comes with with gold rings at first, doesn't he? He's got a bunch of.
He sells a gold ring to get his first little injection of funds.
Well, no, he's actually brought a whole bunch of gold rings from his planet, and I didn't pick up on this the first time I saw the film. So I got a feeling there's a lot more to the narrative that maybe you guys missed, but because I've seen it 4 times. So at one point he pulls them. He goes to the pawn shop, or it's not a pawn shop, but he gets some money back for the ring. But then you see in a scene a little while after that, he pulls out. He's got a whole string full of gold rings. And so he's brought this raw material from his own planet to get him started. And then the next thing that he has access to is some of the technology from his own planet. So he goes to see a lawyer. So what other alien film does he go and is the first point of contact with a legal copyright patent lawyer?
The patent lawyer.
So yes. I just love that idea.
The patent lawyer. Great.
Now, you've actually answered one of those questions for me, Roly, that I had, because I'd figured that he killed the old woman in the pawn shop.
Oh no!
Oh, that was so. I thought, he's got a roll of 20s or 100s or whatever sitting on the riverbank, and she offered him only $20 for that ring. So, he's killed her and taken the money from her safe or something. No. Okay, that's one that wasn't.
What else you got?
And either that's me misreading it, as you suggest, or it's not explained well enough in the film.
I don't think that. Yeah, the narrative, foregrounding of important plot points that we're used to is not part of a film like that, is it? It's quite easy for things to slip past unless you're really paying hawk-eyed attention.
Yeah,
I think it is one of those films.
Multiple viewings.
It's multiple viewings does it, but also it's just a very, you really have to pay attention. I'm curious what other things were confusing for you, Shady.
Oh, shitloads. Let me tick them off. Okay. Who? I'm just jumping around, so it's not all in order. But who was Peters?
The black guy.
Yep.
I think he he was some sort of representative of the government almost. I thought like he was a
Okay,
he
that's
was
what
like
I'd
an
figured,
alternative kind of CIA kind of thing or something.
But then he's running a company of some sort as well later on.
Yeah, corporate powers. It was that sort of thing of there's always a level up above the level that, where you think where the power structure lies, but there's a hidden level that you're not aware of. But yeah, no, that's a fair question. I would still wonder a bit on that myself.
Yeah, okay.
It was the patent lawyer himself who went out the window of the skyscraper towards the end, wasn't it? So
that's my other question there.
Was that Peter's doing? I kind of lost track of the plot a bit at that point.
Yes, me too.
How his plan to make enough money to transport enough water home.
Yeah, no, yeah. So he was killed because the other guys wanted to take over power because Newton was building this big fucking Elon Musk spaceship thing, and they just saw it as a waste of money, I think. But meanwhile, I think they were worried that it was going to bring the whole economy. I'm reading a bit between the lines, but it was they were worried about the economic impacts internationally of a project like this. So they kept saying.
Didn't they say that he'd pushed too many inventions too quickly, so they wanted to slow things down a bit or something, right?
Yeah, that was what they were saying. The public can only cope with so many new products at a time. We have to slow this guy down because he's moving too fast, and we can't actually run things the way. Yeah,
the powers that be intervene inevitably.
So they killed Farnsworth.
Make sure he's drunk enough that he won't get the job done.
Well, that's the thing. Why did they need to kill Farnsworth and his partner, and not Bowie?
Well, you don't do away with the goose that laid the golden egg. I think they just wanted to take control of his potential rather than that was the way I.
Also, they.
I mean, but he's trapped in a room just drinking himself silly. Is he actually doing anything anyway? I mean, why did they need to keep him around?
Well, they had all the scientists there. They thought he might have some value as an experimental kind of lab rat in the meantime. So they kept him to kind of experimenting on him scientifically,
slicing up
but
nipples.
Then in the end they found there's nothing really of value there for us.
And they did something where they were trying to remove his contact lenses, and that meant that he could never take. That caused them to get stuck.
Yeah.
Which
never really paid off anyway. I mean, what's
bound him to a sort of human identity in some way. Now you're stuck with us for good.
I think it's a series of disappointments, isn't it, through the film in one way or another, but the overall context is still interesting in his home planet being one that's, through global warming, whatever it may be, is basically a desert planet now. So I don't know. I think it's kind of there's an interesting subtext there.
He ultimately wanted to bring water back to his planet. Is that what we're to believe?
I think he wanted to reunite with his family and potentially
some kind of rescue mission. No.
Yeah.
But if he wanted to reunite with his family, why did he even come to Earth in the first place?
Well, I think he was trying to solve
a spaceship with water, or was that? We should be able to answer the question if we've understood the film.
I think, Well, my theory on that is he's got a plan to solve the problems on his own planet, but it does involve, water and the rest of it. But maybe aspects of that technology aren't even shown in the film. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and he's thwarted with his attempts anyway. Yeah, but again, it took a long time. It seemed like there was a long time for him from the beginning where he landed until. Like, people were getting old. I could see grey hairs coming in and out of the film. He'd been there, let's say, 10, 15 years or so. Did it
right.
Seemed like it didn't need that long, but...
Well, what do you mean it didn't need that long? I think even...
Well, if he's got all this tech in his brain and in his spaceship or whatever with him, couldn't he have fast-tracked that a little, become the richest person in the world, and then got off?
I think he did that. That was the whole point. So just when he was getting ready to launch, and he became public, and suddenly the public kind of knew who he was, and it was all in the, everyone knew about it. That was when they hit Farnsworth and threw him out the window, and took him prisoner. So they acted right at that point where he was about to take off.
Mm.
What was the line earlier on in the film from Bowie? It was one of his most believable lines, something about privacy. My life's not a secret, but it is private.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he didn't. Yeah.
Poignancy about that from a celebrity who obviously struggles with privacy issues.
Yeah. That's true.
I think he was.
On that, what do you think about Bowie as an actor? I understand that Rogue cast Art Garfunkel in one of his later movies.
Yeah.
Bad timing.
Bad timing.
I think. Yeah. Mm.
I think Bowie's perfectly suited to this film.
I kind of agree. Not because he's a fantastic actor, I don't think, but because he was playing someone mildly inhuman and sort of almost robotic. His limited acting range enabled him to do that quite well.
Yeah, I mean it's a little. Maybe it's a little like the old Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. Like he suits that film because, I mean, he doesn't know what's going on, and he's just wandering around as what's happening here. I don't know. Maybe it's a little like that. Yeah, I don't think Bowie's much of an actor, to be fair. But yeah, you're right. He fits this fairly well, and actually putting some pretty ropey actors around him probably helped. Like that woman who played Mary Lou, Candy Clark. She was fucking awful, man. She was terrible.
I think Bowie.
I don't think there's a slur against Bowie either. Like it's not something that you can just wander into and expect to have finely crafted skills at.
Yeah,
I
true.
know there's a lot of crossover, but people sort of often miss the amount of craft and technique that actors possess.
I think Bowie was quoted somewhere as well as saying he really didn't get on with that actor from the film as well.
Right, okay.
Right. Or she was just really annoying or something, probably, just as she was in the film.
Yeah.
But but I think this particular character suits David Bowie to a T, and
so it's a clever bit of casting by Mr. Rogue.
I can see why. I mean, I wouldn't say that nobody else could have done this in a convincing role. That was one thing that struck me about seeing the film again. Whereas in the past, I'd kind of appreciated it, more for the David Bowie aspect and just having a laugh looking at Bowie acting. But this time it was more like, I actually did see more of the. I picked up more of the narrative of the film than previously, which was
more than I did probably.
That's a change.
Look, a couple more questions, Rolly. Just help me here. Who were those old-timey folk in the countryside that could see his car and then it disappeared? What the hell was going on here?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah. That was pretty trippy. So I think all that's going on there is he's kind of connected to the past, so he can actually see, he can see what's going on. But there was another connection there as well. What was it? Oh, it's lost on me.
Effects on the banjo as well. Did you hear it had like a phaser or a flanger or something on the banjo track? And it was a bit future.
And it was like, I think it was like he'd gone back to the past, but not only could he see them, but they could see him at the same time.
Yeah, they were come out, have a look at this. Yeah.
I felt that was quite it was a little just a bit of a take on that, the whole interconnectedness of time, of the time-space continuum idea there, that this was always, the visitors have always been coming, and he's always he's just playing out the way things need to happen.
There was a line about it where he sort of said, "We've found evidence of others coming to our planet. Have you not noticed the ones here on yours?"
Yeah. I mean, look, that I think the problem.
Is it not?
Yeah, though, there's a lot of things that are brushed upon and not really focused on in this film. But then you don't want it to be 3 hours, I suppose. So.
Yeah.
One more question: Who at the beginning, when he's walking down that sort of hill after he's crash landed in the water, there's a dude in a suit watching him walk down. Who the fuck's that?
Oh. Yeah.
One of the powers that be, somebody from.
Yeah, no, I'd forgotten about that actually. Yeah, I remember.
Again, no payoffs. Set up, but no payoff as far as I'm concerned. There.
Yeah.
I think that has to do with the same crew that threw Farnsworth out the window, doesn't it?
I would have thought so.
Right.
I get what you're saying, Shady, about the unfinished threads hanging off the thing all over the place.
Yes, yeah.
And that indicates it was like his sort of difficult second album, was it not, as a director? He had a successful film prior, which enabled him to then do whatever the hell he wanted.
Maybe, yeah.
At the point at which people sort of overindulge themselves and try everything and lose a bit of discipline.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if they were the guys that threw Farnsworth out the window, then they had some knowledge of him immediately as soon as he landed, which seems odd that they take so long to get into the film. I don't know.
Well, you get the sense that they're aware of the other people that have come before from other planets or from the planet, or you know, there is I don't know, but I kind of like that idea in any sort of film or piece of art where you feel that there's a deeper level of stuff going on than you're actually seeing. You know, that's part of the world building when you get that.
Yeah. I think we're very used to being sort of satisfied, instant sort of gratification through narrative. I'm with you, Roly. I don't mind there being some lingering mystery and ambiguity about something, because being gratified like snap, it doesn't necessarily yield the most satisfying kind of result in the end.
No, but I'm with you there too. But imagine having to sit through this more than once to get everything. I mean, sorry, Roly, I know you like it, but there's a lot of shit to get through to actually understand more of the film.
Well, yeah, but to be honest, I feel like that about a lot of films.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to. There's very few films I want to see more than once. So I take the point, but yeah, it's a tricky balance.
You kind of open Pandora's box a bit, I think, when you forego linear narrative and start to experiment with time going back and forth and.
But I mean, I don't know.
Fantastic. I think about Pulp Fiction. Apparently Tarantino didn't decide to mess up the narrative line through that until he was editing it afterwards.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
That's a great success, I think. The mucking around with the time sequence in that film. So
but then something like Pulp Fiction or Nolan, Dunkirk, or some films that fuck around with the timeline, that can be interesting to watch, and just watch it once, that's enough. Or you want to delve into it a bit deeper, you can watch it again. I'd go back to those films 3 or 4 times before I watched this one again. That's the thing. I don't think it succeeded in initial attraction. You know what I mean?
I think maybe that's part of... I think maybe if there was a soccer match in this one, Shady, you may be swayed a little bit. I'm going to bring that up every episode we do.
You think if there was, I don't know, Salt Lake City versus Denver, whatever's, I'd probably be more happy with it.
If part of his portfolio had been a soccer team, and there was a little bit, there was a bit of a shot with some guys in a match in a stadium, maybe.
You think I'm that shallow, Rob? You think I'm that shallow?
Castellone as a goalkeeper.
No,
So
but
from about
I-
the same era.
I can't disagree with you there. Probably, actually.
I guess I'm just of. I think in terms of interests, I love this stuff. I love seeing what Elon Musk's new invention's going to be. I'll read those blogs. I like this style of imagining about the future and how we might behave in this type of situation when alien life might come to the planet. I like imagining those things, whereas I'm guessing you don't really think about that sort of stuff on a daily basis and in the same way as I do, maybe.
I think that was, yes, I do, but that's secondary to actually seeing a satisfying narrative, I think.
Okay.
So, and I just thought there was too much junk. I just thought it was too flabby, this film. Things that started and didn't finish, and questions all over the place that remained unanswered pretty much. So, yeah, I thought it was a rogue failure, sadly.
Fair enough. I don't think it was a failure. I would agree with some of that, though, that it does stretch out a bit longer probably than it needs to. I think some of those loose ends, though, if you were to watch it again, and maybe we should do an edit. Maybe I should do a YouTube edit of this or something, and we could actually watch the film again.
Yeah, you'd have to edit out the character of Mary Lou completely, and that'd look pretty weird, though. Have you seen a film called Brother from Another Planet? A John Sayles film from '84?
No.
That's a similar thing. There's a guy who lands on Earth and he's actually mute. He doesn't have any dialogue in it, but people around him, communicate with him in different ways, and that's similar to this. But I think, if I remember rightly, it was a bit easier to watch. That's quite a similar film. Yeah, check that out if you get a chance. If you like your sci-fi and your aliens from elsewhere.
Yeah, Look, I like I like this style, that style of sci-fi in a way. But it's also maybe it's a bit of a kind of retro fascination I have with this film as well.
Yeah, sure.
It's just seen from the past, isn't it? At this point, that's part of the interest. What futurism felt like in the 70s. As opposed to now, what would a modern analogue of that film be? Rolly, are there filmmakers now who engage your interest in the same way about the speculations about the future, or do you think that sci-fi has just become bang crash wallop sort of action movie stuff?
It's probably not an obvious one, but while we've been speaking about this, I've also been thinking about that film Arrival in this context.
Oh, I was just about to mention that. Yeah.
That's quite close to me, and that's a similar in the sense that I didn't really understand it all. Definitely on the first watch, I've only seen it once, but I have the sense that to go back and watch it again, a lot more would be explained.
That's a great film. Yeah.
Another movie that this made me think of a bit was Tarkovsky film Solaris.
Oh, yeah.
I've not seen that.
Filmmaker. And if we're talking about sort of cinema beyond action cinema, Tarkovsky was upheld as a sort of icon of experimental filmmaking and a different approach to narrative, lots of long takes and film that you kind of have to bathe in rather than get dragged along on a wild ride by. It moves quite slowly. It's not going to deliver you satisfaction with a repeated series of action sequences. It's just the takes are very long, and you sort of immerse yourself in the world of the film rather than get on a roller coaster.
Was that remade?
It was
a little while back with
Clooney.
With George Clooney. No comment. But it's worth watching the Tarkovsky original for sure.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it. If you like sort of the 70s sci-fi and Russian 70s sci-fi even. Check it out.
Yeah.
Great.
There's I just remembered a film that's really hard going called Hard to Be a God. Has anyone seen this?
No.
It's from 2013, a Russian science fiction, again by a guy called Alexei German, but wow, it's it's very long too, if I remember. Yeah, 177 minutes according to Wiki.
Yeah, that style, it always yields a long film because you don't have...
Yeah. Oh, this is all filth, mud, but it's supposed to be science fiction, but there's not the usual science fiction stuff. Like this guy is apparently landed on another planet, and they consider him a god now, but he's ruling like a kind of old fiefdom lord, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's nuts. It's,
sounds like fun.
Yeah, fun it isn't.
For some reason, with this film, the scene that keeps playing back in my head at the moment is the cookie tray, which is just a laughable scene. But the slow motion, and he's really playing the battered husband there, isn't he?
Yeah.
But
like petulant frenzy.
That's where I realised, Bowie's not really acting here, is he? He's not much of an actor. Yeah.
No, I get out of my brain.
Yeah. I mean, there were some funny moments.
You have to open your mouth. Your voice is the real betrayer. The other thing that really, the clunkiest thing for me was, I know the body falling from the window is one thing, but then the barbell that came afterwards.
Yes.
Oh,
the barbell that floated to earth. And was clearly made of foam.
Yeah, I was picturing an inflatable barbell, but yeah, absolutely. Do they not look at that?
Yeah.
Then it's sort of.
We got it. We can't. Yeah. How does that make the cut? That's it.
Like there was a little humour in that where they tried to toss him out the window and it just cracked. It didn't go through, and he apologised. Oh, sorry about that. Don't worry about it, mate. It's all right. We'll get it on this one.
Yeah.
That dude, by the way, that guy who played Farnsworth is Buck Henry, who created what's it called? Get Smart.
Oh, really?
The TV show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The joke glasses as well, because his glasses came off from time to time. And were they a prop? He seemed to exist quite happily without them. And then was there not a Get Smart with glasses on that level? Or am I thinking?
That was weird. Yeah, I think there's probably someone in Get Smart with those kind of comedy glasses. Yeah. Weird, though. Yeah. And Rip Torn, of course, is...
the titles that it had been Rip Torn.
Yeah.
I was paying attention, but obviously not to quite everything.
Yeah, no, he looked... Yeah, I'd never seen him so young, that actor. So, yeah. Roly, thanks for recommending this. I mean that because I didn't like it, but it's certainly an eye-opener and something to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's one to see whether you like it or not.
Mm. Yes, exactly. Dave, thanks very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
All right, cheers, guys. We'll see you again some other time. Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
The Man Who Fell to Earth is a powerful love story, a cosmic mystery, a spectacular fantasy, a shocking, mind-stretching experience in sight, in space, and sex.